Good afternoon, Beeville. This is Cindy Clark from PAC-B TV, and I am here this afternoon with Lisa Saunders. Hi, Lisa. How are you today?
Hi, Cindy. I'm good. I'm happy to be here.
I know that. I know that. She's done some interviews for PAC-B TV, and we're gonna kind of go back to start the beginning of the relationship here and how we got together and her journey since she's been in Beeville and the places she's gone, the things she's done, the passions that she has. But why don't we start with how this all started? Remember way back when?
Well, because I'm from Connecticut and I had a local access station where I'd interview people. So I thought, I got to see what's happening in Baldwinsville, because I knew I was moving to Baldwinsville to help take care of my grandkids and my mom. And I looked it up, and somehow I guess your name was on the website or something. So I contacted you, and you're like, yeah, let's meet at Beeville Diner. So that was my first time eating at Beeville Diner, having rice pudding.
Oh, the rice pudding was good. Now, maybe we're not supposed to advertise for somebody, but I got to tell you, I've loved this rice pudding forever and ever and ever. But that's how we started.
It is.
Is over a bowl of rice pudding, and then here we are today. We talked all about what you've done there. We discussed what we've done here. We've done a couple of interviews with you, followed your journey, and Lisa has two passions, and we'll get into that. She has one, and she's going to have to tell you the long version, CMV, which is
cytomegalovirus.
Okay, well, she's talked about that, but we're going to go into that a little bit more, and also walking along the whole length of the Erie Canal.
Yes.
Which is in conjunction with CMV.
Right.
So
that's the reason I'm doing it.
That's right. So we start with, and right along those lines, you place these little rocks everywhere you go.
I do. I got these off the South Shore of Lake Ontario. My grandkids love to pick them up, and then I give them to another mom like me who has a child born with congenital CMV. She paints Stop CMV on them because her daughter loves to watch her paint, so it's really sweet. And this silver is the color of CMV awareness.
Okay.
And then on the back, she puts a little tip: protect your your unborn baby. And then she puts tips, the CDC website, and don't share cups with toddlers. We just made it real. She only has a few words she can use, but it's basically saliva. You don't want to give when you're pregnant, you don't want this birth defects virus, and that means you have to not kiss your toddler on the mouth or share food with them or share drinks with them. You can still kiss them on the cheek, but toddlers tend to be the majority of the carriers because they're just swapping saliva with each other constantly in group care. So she does a lot of work. Her name is Tabitha, on painting these, and what Jim and I do as we're walking the Erie Canalway Trail, which is 360 miles. By the way, we just made 300 miles.
You're almost there.
Yeah, 60 miles left to go. And along the way, I put these painted rocks that Tabitha does along the way, like near the signs of this is where you are now, just along the way in hopes of people seeing it. And actually, we did meet a doctor once. Oh, what are you doing? Oh, we're putting these, CMV, and I talked to him about it. So he was interested in learning more about the cause. So even though it seems maybe a silly thing, little rocks, who's going to sit there and look at it? But it just is a good visual. It's a good way to spur conversation.
That's right, and awareness.
And of course, it's heavy in my backpack,
I know, if you got 20 or 30 of these, it would be heavy.
No, I don't carry them all. We drive to each section of the trail.
Okay.
And then I'll just put a rock or two in my backpack. And then we walk. Unfortunately, we walk a different section of the trail, but then we have to walk back to the car.
Well,
so we're looking at, we're only getting like 5 miles that count at most each day, at most. And we only do this because we have to walk back to the car.
Well, that's 10 miles a walk.
So that's 10 miles a walk. And we're getting older and our hips are killing us, our knees are killing us.
I know. Oh my God.
We only do it about 1 day a month as we have time. But it's kind of fun now because I have seen all little towns that I never even knew existed. And it's been made fun by other Erie Canal Trail enthusiasts because there's murals along the way by Mural Mania. They're an organization that like to do that. It's the longest trail in the world or something of murals. Other towns like to have a mural with their name of the town, and this is kind of what it looked like in the olden days.
Well, I know there's a lot of renewed interest we had a presentation with one of the historical societies about the Erie Canal, and I think there's another one coming up maybe even tonight where they talk about the Erie Canal, the people that are very knowledgeable about it and the importance. Recently, we had the pedestrian bridge coming in that's heading to Buffalo.
Did you see it?
I did. I did.
missed it.
I got
Okay.
soaked waiting for it. I missed it at one location. I finally wound up at by the lock to get the video of it going by and how this tugboat pushes these great big things. That's how it used to be done.
Well, what's exciting is the 200-year anniversary is coming up in 2025, and the Seneca Chief, which is a replica of the first canal boat that came through with the Governor Clinton on
Right.
it, that's going to come through Baldwinsville. So it's going to go the whole length of the canal. So it's really exciting.
Oh, that'll be interesting.
I haven't seen the replica yet, and I can't wait to see it because my ancestor, Jacob Leach, helped plan the party from Lyons because he was one of the engineers on the first canal. And he helped plan the party. The governor came through, and that just talks about the party and all that. But towns were shooting cannons along the way. And what it is, the governor, they filled, I think it was 2 kegs or at least one, anyway, with water from Lake Erie, and then they brought it to New York City and dumped it out.
How nice.
To show the wedding of the
Yes,
waters,
right.
you know,
That's
like,
kinda
look,
nice.
all these waters are connected. And I have a friend who comes to visit me from the Mystic, Connecticut area, and I used to live near the ocean, and she said, I just feel so landlocked in Baldwinsville. I said, actually, you're not, because if you can get on a kayak or whatever, you can boat out, you know, to the Hudson River
That's right.
and get out to the ocean.
Well, if you're that ambitious in a kayak.
Right, but boats come from all over the world to come through the Erie Canal, and that's fun. That's part of the fun of us walking. But now we're walking the eastern end and western end, so that's more the actual real canal that's still flowing. So it's we're not just walking beside a ditch with a lot of mosquitoes, you know, because the old ditch, because it's been moved to lakes. I mean, they use rivers like the Seneca River through Baldwinsville. Anyway, so now we see a lot of these boats going.
Oh,
through.
that's great. I didn't know about the anniversary, and that'll be exciting because I'm sure
there's a
there'll
lot
be
of events coming
Yes.
up in 2025.
Well, we'll have to remember that.
Yes.
But anyways, we'll circle back here to the situation with the CMV and the passion with the Erie Canal, where you've kind of merged them together
Yes.
to pursue and make awareness with your cause. All right. How did you get involved? I know we'll go back right to the beginning with you.
I just put out a book, Had I Known About CMV, cytomegalovirus. So, and what I decided to do is tell everybody how I did everything and why I did everything. So, in 1989, I gave birth to a child with a severely damaged brain, and I was at high risk. And nobody told me about it. Because I was a licensed child care provider who ran a center in my home. People like that are at high risk for CMV. I never heard about it from the licensing people, and I never learned about it from my OBGYNs when I was pregnant. Because the other thing that made me high risk is that I had a toddler. And she'd take a sip from my cup, and I was too tired to get up and go get another cup. You know,
but you didn't know.
I didn't know.
No.
And that's, it is the leading viral cause of birth defects. So I'm very determined for people to know. So Elizabeth lived for 16 years. I share all of that, what it's like to get over the shock, because then you do grow to love your child and you embrace the new life. And because you meet a lot of great people along the way who are there to help your child. So I did recover, and I wanted to share all that. And then after she died, I had a terrible nightmare. I was just sleeping, and I was sitting in a room with all these young parents sitting around with a child with congenital CMV, with brain damage or hearing loss. The most common disability is hearing loss. And they all, when it got to be my turn to introduce myself, they just looked at me like, you've known about this for 16 years and you haven't done everything possible to warn us? And I didn't want to talk to them because I was so upset that why didn't I do more? And then I woke up I didn't wake up feeling guilty because it's a lot of work to raise a child with severe disabilities. You know, I didn't have, although I did write about it and was as a published author, I still wasn't big and famous where anybody would really listen to what I had to say. But I determined then that since I no longer had her in my arms to care for and feed and all that, that I would just make raising awareness my entire mission. And that has been my entire mission.
It has been since I've known you.
Yes.
You've come a long way with this, because it's not just word of mouth. You have to go, if you want to really do the right thing, which you did, as I'm sure you probably checked with other states that have legislation passed in their particular state. We didn't have it here in New York at the time, that you had to go and help get legislation put through.
Yeah, see, it never occurred to me to do legislation. So in my book, I even talk about I was doing all these crazy things, sailing in the winter, even though I'd never sailed. I was looking for to get lost at sea, and then everybody would read my story if it had some great survival story. Well, I abandoned ship after the first day. I was so terrified, And then I won a Stein hoisting contest. Like, how crazy is that? And then the newspaper, and I got a letter from the U.S. Senator in Connecticut. Oh, congratulations, good luck at the next competition, like silly stuff. I'm like, hey, I can get famous this way. None of that worked to make me heard. But then suddenly in Google alerts, I get a Google alert that Utah passed a law requiring testing newborns for it and requiring an education program. And that's when the light bulb went off. Okay, I don't have to be thin and famous for people to listen to me. I just have to have a law or something.
That's right.
So yeah, I did that in Connecticut, and unbeknownst to me in New York, I knew the New York Times article came out in 2016 all about why aren't women being told about this. And I didn't know it at the time, but a legislator from New York read it and said, oh my gosh, we have to do something. So she did get a law passed similar to the one that I helped get passed in Connecticut, which was testing every newborn who fails their newborn hearing screen. If they test you for CMV and they find out it's positive, you can give that child an antiviral that can help reduce the progression of the hearing loss, maybe even improve brain growth. So she did that without all us mothers crying and weeping and wailing and trying to get a law passed. But it didn't have an education piece that you're required to tell child care providers about their increased risk, and to tell women, at least, I wish women knew before they got pregnant, but at a minimum, at least they could know at their first prenatal visit, But anyway, so that's what I helped to get passed in New York. And actually currently on the books is a law, it's a bill's been filed, but it's not a law. It's to test every newborn, not just the ones that fail their hearing test. Because children can pass their hearing test and everyone thinks they're fine, but then start losing their hearing because it's a progressive hearing loss.
Okay.
And so parents need to be aware that, maybe we should get our child's hearing tested every 3 months or 6 months, whatever the protocol is. So that's what's happening now, actually, as a test pilot. That's happening in New York right now, even without laws. It's just a study that they're doing to find out, okay, what is the prevalence? They're doing it by blood test, which is easier and cheaper than doing a saliva, which is more accurate, but it's at least giving people an idea. Okay, is knowing this helping? How is this really impacting family? There's a lot they're trying to figure out from that study.
And from what you're saying, there's a lot of preventative means, there's probably not a surefire antiviral right now.
Well, there is once the baby's born.
Once the baby's born.
If you give it within this certain immediate time period.
Okay, so you've got a window there.
You've got a
very
window.
important window. Okay, but the prevention.
That right
knowledge.
now, yeah, that's right now. It's knowledge. They are working on a vaccine, but it's taken years. It's a tough
prevention
vaccine.
as far as knowledge.
But knowledge. Yeah. So that did get passed, and there's currently a bill that was filed, a national bill, the Stop CMV Act of 2024. So my hope is that senators and congressmen will sign up for that and get that passed, because that'll help raise awareness. It doesn't require anybody to do anything, but it gives them incentive, I think, financially to do things if they want to do something. And when you're asking a group, requiring them to do something, then you get a lot of pushback, but because they're like, one more thing we have to do.
Yeah.
But this is kind of an interesting bill because it's giving them incentives to do it. To reduce these birth defects caused by it. But anyway, so I thought I better write this book now from shock to law, because I want people to pick it up and go, yeah, there really is a reason why this mother keeps talking on about it, because I'm pretty honest about how hard it was the first several months after she was born, like more honest than I was in other memoirs, because now I didn't want to frighten mothers who find this out, but now that medicine is better and things are better, I just at least wanted to share the mental process of recovering from that kind of shock.
Well, that's a big mental process, I would think.
It is, because no one's heard of CMV, they wonder if the mother's been promiscuous or doing drugs, because they don't realize this is a virus you're probably getting from from a toddler.
Mm-hmm.
Your toddler in your care, either at the child care center or if you're early childhood educator, so I'm hoping people will read it and go, wow, this is really a tough thing to live with. It's not a tragedy, because you can learn to be happy again and make a life. You have to learn how to make a life out of no matter all the
Whatever
difficult,
the situation, right,
everybody
right.
comes across difficult situations. But this is sort of more difficult for a mom, because she's thinking, yeah, but if I'd known, maybe I could have prevented this.
That's right.
And that's a hard thing for a mom. And moms have told me I was really brutally honest, and it was tough in some parts to read, but they understood. They said, but this is how you really feel, and some feel even worse than I do. So I just wanted the medical community to be able to know what a mother's thinking as you're telling her these things. And there are things you can say to help ease that transition of this is her new life. And
That's what it is. It's a new life.
It's a new life.
Totally different, yeah.
And it's not a horrible life. I thoroughly love my daughter. We had a wonderful time raising the kids together. I have wonderful family memories. I got over that shock, but I want other mothers to get help. Because I was helped by somebody who said, Lisa, she came to the hospital who had a child with severe disabilities, and she said, Lisa, you are going to feel better. You are going to feel happy again. And I just want people to know that you can feel happy again, and you will, because you love this person.
That's right. That's right.
So
now, as far as a word of advice, what would be your word of advice for mothers and to-be mothers, pregnant women? What would be what would you want, a message would you want to send to them?
If I had known about CMV before getting pregnant, I would have asked my doctor, hey, can you test my antibodies for it before getting pregnant, if I had the choice. And if they found out I had no antibodies for it, I would have thought long and hard about, do I really want to run a daycare center of young slobbering children in my home?
Right.
I might have decided, okay, you know what, I'm going to work with kids over 2, where I'm not constantly wiping saliva up. And then of course I'd be super careful about not sharing a cup with my own toddler. That's really all I have to say, except if you are pregnant, don't freak out, because I think doctors have said it's more like how much you're getting in your system. Like, oh no, I got a speck of saliva. I don't think that's the issue. You just know what to do from now on. You can't totally prevent it, but you can, there's no guarantee.
Mitigate it, hopefully mitigate
but you
it,
can
yes.
definitely reduce your chance. Studies have shown you can reduce your chances of contracting it.
So Lisa, if somebody wanted to get more information, is there an actual website? I mean, the site on the back of the stones, is that where somebody would go
Yeah, they
to
would
get
go
more information?
because the CDC is going to have some good information. So you just Google that, CDC and CMV or cytomegalovirus, and there's a lot of family-friendly information on the National CMV Foundation website. That's where you're going to learn from other mothers. You're going to hear what's going on in different states. You're going to find resources to download, a lot of nice flyers, good ones like next steps, if you get this diagnosis. So I volunteer for them, and so I would definitely visit the National CMV Foundation website.
Okay, good. That's what just so everybody knows that. Well, thank you. I appreciate that information
You're
too.
welcome. I do have a blog that people can look at all my information, a congenital CMV blog. So people can read about my latest articles, because I keep updating articles about legislation, about all sorts of things. So there is a way, if they go to congenitalcmvblogspot.com. Anyway,
Okay, but they can get information if they're looking for information.
Yeah, if they Google
Okay.
that, and my name, they will come up with my blog, where I give recent articles and things like that.
Okay.
About things that I'm learning, because I keep writing about it as things happen.
I have to be honest with you, until I met you, I never had even heard of this.
Right.
And it's been a very real eye-opener for me, this whole journey that you've taken, working on the Erie Canal, working on this, because it's your passion, and if you have certainly pursued your passions. You certainly have. But anyways, thank you so much, Lisa, for taking the time to educate us on this very important issue, and good luck in your Erie Canal journey.
Oh, thank you very much. I hope to make it by 2025.
Good.
I really want to do that. All right. Thank you, Cindy.
You're welcome.